kind of got it right this time. Well, welcome back to Penny's Two Cents with Penny and Tasha.
Hey.
And we are here today to talk about something that is so daunting to so many people. It's asking for a raise.
Yeah. Once you've been in the job for a couple of months and you're expecting that raise or expecting some kind of recognition or some kind of merit and you don't get it, how long do you wait?
Yeah, I mean, in the interview, you may have been told rather that, you're going to be re-evaluated in 3 months. You could possibly get a raise in 3 months based on that evaluation. And now we're into 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's approached you.
You might have been evaluated already.
Well, I was thinking you have not been evaluated and you've not received a raise, but none of that has happened, right? So what do you do? I mean, where do you go with that?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we just kind of want to maybe give some suggestions as to what you could do. What are your thoughts, Tasha?
I think first of all, look at your work productivity. Look at the policy that you signed or read when you first got hired.
Mm-hmm.
Is the policy being followed? First of all, I mean, they said 3 or 4 months, but there might be more things that they've added or that you were able to review when you first started working that said this, or this has to be in place first. And then the other thing is, are you really qualified to get a raise? What have you done? What's your work history like?
Well, that's true. I mean, if you're coming in late or you're not meeting expectations productivity, then maybe they're not thinking you should get a raise. But I guess if you were told that you were going to be reevaluated in 3 months and that hasn't happened, maybe that's what you asked for. You say, you told me we were going to have an evaluation in 3 months and 4 months have passed, so when do you think that might be?
Yeah, and I think, being sensitive to the employer also, your supervisor, they have a lot of work to do too. And so sometimes it's not because they're rejecting you, they might be overworked, overwhelmed.
That's true. And they would appreciate you coming forward to say, this, because I know that's happened in the past where they're like, oh, I totally forgot about that, you're right. And then what I would say is, when can we schedule that? I would say, when do you think we can schedule that? And if they say, I'll get back to you, then you've got to stay on top of that.
Yeah, document.
Yeah.
Everything you think you do, everything that requires a raise, if you're an exceptional worker, what makes you exceptional?
Right.
Write it down, brag on yourself on paper.
Oh, and the other thing, we always talk about this, if you're a corporation, there's a process in place. If you're in a smaller business, maybe there's not a process per se, but do you talk to your immediate supervisor? Do you talk to the office manager?
Who do you talk to?
Yeah, so you've got to find out who, the process within the company that you're in. And the other thing is, do you want to stay in that position? I guess that's the other question.
Yeah, I mean, is it a raise? I mean, there's different types of raises, right? I mean, you have a merit increase, which is like a one-time. You've got bonuses that people give at the end of either the year or a term. You've got just the actual increase, and then you've got promotions.
What about? I've heard that companies have been giving people more personal time off in lieu of a raise.
That usually works for women.
Well, that's an interesting comment. I mean, why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Because a lot of times employers, women, they'll go for titles or they'll go for time off, and they don't need, in substitute in lieu of actual monetary increase.
Interesting. I mean, would it be not wonderful to have a 4-day work week in lieu of a raise? Oh, that would have been.
I'd rather have a raise.
Yeah. All right, well, there's the difference right there, right? So not everybody wants the exact same thing. And as we're in the pandemic, post-pandemic, the other thing that's happening where people have gotten used to working at home.
Oh, yeah.
There's many companies that now want you to come back into the workplace. There's companies that are having hybrid situations. So you come back in the workplace, you work at home or whatever. But I do know from, reading articles or seeing interviews of things of that nature, there are some people that absolutely will not go back into the workplace.
Okay, and how's that related to raise?
Well, because it might minimize your opportunity for any other
Yes.
gain, because you have already agreed that you want to stay home. So the perk might be you're not using the gas, you're not on tolls, therefore you don't need a raise. Maybe, I don't know. I think employers are struggling with that too.
So they could probably barter or bargain with you to
Yeah.
stay home as opposed to going into the office in lieu of a raise.
That could be, because I've seen on the job boards, when I look at the job boards, which is every week, it'll show, at home. And I've always noticed that the hourly rates are low. Now, the employer is thinking what we just said. The hourly rates need to be lower because you're not using gas, you're not doing this. But you know what? I value myself in what I do, and that doesn't fly.
Well, and also, most people that stay at home and work, they work longer hours than they do if they were in the office, because they can come in anytime they want, and they'll usually stay a little bit longer because they don't have to make that drive. So someone that gets up at 5 o'clock might stay working until 6.
Right, or they
So
might.
they're getting more work out of it.
Yeah, or they might work 2 less hours during the day, but they'll make it up in the evening. So that flex time has been working, right? So, I'd be curious to hear what employers think about this, how they talk about raises and how they would think about people asking for a raise.
Do you think they'll send us an email maybe?
Well, let's make sure we give them the email address. It's we're going to put it on the screen also, but it's ask@pennies, PENNYS, the numeral 2, cents, SENSE.com. So we'd like to hear from some employers. How do you think about raises? I mean, do you get upset when people ask for a raise? How does that play within your company? I
Yeah.
guess that's really the question.
Yeah, and then also, like us on, and subscribe.
We would appreciate that very
Really
much.
appreciate that.
But, so I really think that's pretty much it for today, because we just wanted to talk about raises and how you can ask for them or should ask for them.
One of
And-
the things too, though,
Go ahead,
is
go
that when
ahead.
you're asking for a raise, do not get emotional.
Oh, good point.
Because you're there working for the company. They're not really working for you. So I know you might need it for a new car or to pay for the babysitter that just went up or pay for gas, but you're working for them. So you just get all your P's and Q's in order and then approach them logically.
That is such a great point, because we've said this before. Silence is a great use of power, if you will. So if you say to somebody, I feel that I should have the raise that was discussed in my interview, and they'll say, well, how much are you making now? Well, now I'm making $18 an hour, and I feel that I should be making $20 an hour. So you then stop and don't try to explain why. Just use silence as the negotiating factor, because you don't need to explain why. I mean, really, in one sense, you know that you have a new car payment or a mortgage increase or whatever, but they don't need to know that. What you're saying is, I'm valuable enough that I should be getting more money, and for these reasons. So keep those reasons that have everything to do with work and not personal. They don't care about your kids, or they don't care about your mom or whatever.
Right.
So I think that's it.
Yes.
So, okay, well, that's a good note to end on. So with that, thank you so much. We are so happy to be here. Out. Thanks. Bye-bye.